On the show this week, our experts pinpoint locations in Navi Mumbai that might be worth your money. We'll also give you a list of projects in the region. We'll tell you how the IT sector is driving real estate in Coimbatore. And in our segment called Meet the Developer, we sit down with HDIL. Let me do a quick round of introductions to our guests, which I'm sure you are familiar with if you watch the show on a regular basis. Ravi Ahuja, Executive Director at Cushman Wakefield, joins us in the studio. Thank you for coming in, Ravi. And of course, Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. We're so grateful to have her on the show as well. Jayashree, thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's get straight to our first market. Remember, in our year-end episode, our experts recommended Navi Mumbai as one of the investment destinations to watch out for in 2014. This week, we've decided to spend some time focusing on Navi Mumbai. Now, we know that about 30% of the units in Navi Mumbai are unsold and unoccupied. Prices have dipped between 18 to 22% over the same period last year. Let's take a look at trends and price movements in Navi Mumbai, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Four decades ago, in a bid to decongest Mumbai, CIDCO created the satellite city of Navi Mumbai. 4 small townships were carved out to form a well-planned, self-sufficient colony. Over the last 5 years, Mumbai's urban managers have focused their attention here. The recently opened Eastern Freeway has reduced the travel time to South Mumbai. The upcoming metro rail line is further expected to boost the realty market, and Panvel will be home to Mumbai's second international airport. But the airport's first phase has met delay after delay and is expected to be operational only in 2017. In anticipation of the infrastructure boost, property prices in Ulve, in the neighbourhood, ran up 79% and touched a peak of 7,600 rupees in 2012. Since then, with disappointment of no airport, the prices have dropped drastically to settle at 4,800 rupees. The industrial zone of Panvel has witnessed a steady up move in prices as well. Home prices here are currently going at 4,500 rupees a square foot. Compare that to 3,300 rupees a square foot in 2011. That's an increase of 34% in 2 years. The 10-kilometre stretch of Palm Beach Road, running parallel to the Mumbai harbour, has witnessed a whopping 47% rise in prices in 2 years, and homes currently here are priced at 15,975 rupees. Kharghar, which is one of the faster developing suburbs of Navi Mumbai, has witnessed a 27% rise in prices over the last 2 years. Homes here are currently trading at about 7,000 rupees a square foot. Alright, so that was Navi Mumbai. Ravi, there's so much being said about Navi Mumbai. I first want to talk to you about areas like Palm Beach Road and Vashi, which is where people would like to live. They're fairly priced out at this point. There isn't too much supply coming in those areas. What is the future for these two markets?
I think like any other city, Navi Mumbai over the last decade or so has matured. So there's been great planning by the local authority, CIDCO there, in terms of infrastructure and decongesting Mumbai, which clearly saw Vashi and the Palm Beach Road take the first mover steps. And now that the city over there is maturing, we see these locations really getting oversold in terms of pricing as well as supply, which is very restricted. But yet we're seeing some good traction on supply, quality supply at Palm Beach Road, because Palm Beach Road, mind you, extends not only from Vashi but goes right up to Belapur. Okay. And that's really the length and breadth which is going to see the future growth corridor in terms of premium development. Okay. And then of course we know that once the city matures, the suburban locations, which in this case of Navi Mumbai, we've seen locations like Kharghar, some of the other growth corridors like Ulve, because of the airport, which has always been in traction. And of course, the new Panvel and the Panvel locations are seeing some development.
Jayashree, for someone who wants to live in Navi Mumbai, let's look at the whole market as one. Obviously, is going to have to travel into the city every day for work. This is a place I will live in. I'm dedicating 2.5 hours a day in just travel. What markets are you seeing the most activity in? What would you recommend to someone who's looking to buy a home?
I'll base it on the kind of activity that I'm seeing on our website. We see that the areas like Palm Beach and Seawoods are areas where you've seen, in 2 years you've seen a 30-40% or even more increase in values. But it's very actively traded on the site, which means there's a lot of consumer interest. There's a lot of activity even in others, Ghansoli, Kalamboli, Koparkhairane. These are all areas which have seen significant rises in property values. 15 to 20% rise in property values on the back of consumer demand. And this is because there is a intrinsic demand for property in Navi Mumbai, either because of the affordability factor vis-a-vis the island city, or because it is close to where they work and it could be anywhere within the region.
I want to ask both of you the same question. I'm going to go to Jayashree first. Jayashree, for someone who's living in Mumbai, who's looking to make purely an investment, has between 40 to 50 lakh rupees to put away right now, what part of Navi Mumbai would you recommend?
I think you should be able to get in the Ghansoli, Karamboli stretch. Nerul you should be able to get in that budget. There are a lot of options in FA, and actually it depends on each person. It's not that you're going, why are you investing in that area? Some people invest because they want regular rental returns, and there are places in Navi Mumbai which are near the IT hubs, which are near the CBD, which are closer, very easily accessible from the island city, where you get good returns, and that is where you should be looking at. There are some others who want to buy early on in the cycle, then go for places where the projects are being launched and wait for the leverage value to grow.
And if my reason is rental return, then what would you recommend?
I would say places like Kharghar, Nerul, you would get good rental returns because we see good rental values there, and even places like Airoli, I see a lot of rise in rental returns.
All right, Ravi, same question to you. I have 40 to 50 lakh right now. I'm looking to make an investment. The island city is obviously off limits at this point. Where should I be investing in Navi Mumbai?
I think I would bet on two locations. One is the outskirts of Kharghar, which is Taloja, thanks to the metro which will come and connect that location. I think there's a good 10 to 15% capital appreciation over the next 2 to 3 years. Kalamboli is the second one. For rental returns, I would go by Airoli because of the IT job employment there, and those kids and those graduates over there will want to look at leasing. And of course Nerul, which is one of the prime spots for senior living, and Palm Beach Road.
What sort of returns would you expect from these investments over the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I think Navi Mumbai would have taken off and reached a new paradigm. I think at a 10% per annum, you would see easily a 40-50% jump in the next 5 years. Yeah.
All right, 10% per annum from Navi Mumbai. Now, if you're looking to buy a home in Navi Mumbai, here are some investment options that we've put together. Take a look. Sai Miracle by the Paradise Group, Orchid Residency and Orchid Arcade by Sunny Build Tech, Balaji Symphony by Space India Builders, and Brookfields by the Monarch Group in Kalamboli. All right, quick round of questions, and these have come in largely in response to our NRI episode last week. Rahul has written in, he wants to buy property in Mumbai with a budget of 2 crore rupees. Please give me some options. 2 crore rupees, that's a fair amount in Mumbai. Where would you point him? In what direction would you point him?
I would say in the western suburbs, if he was looking, he could look at Kandivali and Borivali. Clearly, 2 to 3 bedroom is available at those ranges, budget ranges. In the central suburbs, I would still bank on Chembur, which I think a 2 or 3 bedroom is clearly available there.
Well, Jayashree, if we look at 2 crore rupees within Mumbai, are they reputed national developers or reputed developers within the city we can buy from at that rate?
I looked on the site and I find that Chembur, Kandivali East and Powai are the areas where you should be able to get about a 3 BHK apartment. Now Chembur, every big developer is there. You see the Lodas, you see a lot of, every big developer has already started developing in that Chembur Vadala stretch. You know, in Chembur, for instance, you get a 1200 to 1300 square feet apartment of 3 BHK. In Kandivali East, you should be able to get about 1300 to 1500 in a 3 BHK. And in Powai, roughly about 1200 to 1300, again 3 BHK within a 2 crore budget.
All right, let's take another question. Musharraf Khan has written in, he's an NRI based in the UAE. He wants to buy an apartment in Bangalore with a budget of 50 to 65 lakh rupees. Now he's narrowed down his preferences, the Neku Homes, Prestige Sunrise Park and Mantri Web City. He also wants to know if it makes more sense for him perhaps to invest in a plot of land instead. What would you recommend, Jayashree, given the activity that you've noticed? And the interesting part about his narrowed down list is that they're not all in the same neighborhood. Would you rather he buys a plot of land than buys an apartment at this point?
Let me look at it very scientifically and tell him that the yield of all these projects are fairly high. In Thani Sandra, the Bharatiya city, the yield we checked out was roughly about 4%, which is a very good yield in today's market. In Prestige Sunrise Park, if you invest in that area, 4.75% yield is what we're getting, if that is capital to rental value ratios. And in Mantri Web City that he has picked up, again a 3.6% return. He gets a good rental return of 17 to roughly about 22,000 rupees per month if he, once these projects are complete. Should he invest in land which appreciates higher? He can invest in land, but remember, land is always more difficult to manage and maintain. Therefore, I would say that if you pick up land and want to sell it 5 years later, be sure that you know there's some advisor in India who's telling you when to purchase and when to sell off.
But Ravi, there are plots of land or plotted developments that they're called right now in Bangalore on the Devanahalli road. Do you think that one makes sense for someone who's not here in India to manage on a regular basis, like Jayashree was saying? Would you recommend he buys a plot of land?
I would caution the buyer not to buy a standalone land parcel. Of course, it depends on his individual preference, but more importantly is risk appetite. There are gated communities, like you rightly said. Within the gated communities, you have reputed developers who have launched and are selling just plots on which villas can be built. So I think those will fetch much higher returns than apartments, and one could be safe in terms of title, in terms of due diligence with reputed developers within the gated community.
Here's a quick look at gated developments in Bangalore that you might want to consider. Here's a list of recommended plotted developments in Bangalore. Nitesh Long Island by Nitesh Estates in Devanahalli, Landscape by Shobha Developers also in Devanahalli, and JR Urbania by JR Housing in Rajapura. This week we're travelling down south to review the market of Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. Traditionally a textile hub, it's now becoming a hub for luxury villas and IT. Let's take a look at the prices with Avan.
Thanks for that, Faye. Well, residential prices in the industrial hub of Coimbatore have witnessed a slow but steady rise over the past 1 year. Despite being an IT hub, Saravanampatti has witnessed a 5% decline in property prices over the last 1 year. Homes in this neighborhood are priced at 3,401 rupees per square foot, the cheapest in Coimbatore. On the other hand, the suburb of Vadavalli has witnessed a 23% appreciation in the property prices over 2 years. Residential properties here are currently quoting at 3,875 rupees per square foot. The tourist spot of Singanallur has seen a 9% rise in property prices over the last 2 years. Homes here are currently quoting at 3,925 rupees per square foot compared to 3,600 rupees per square foot in 2011. Pellamedu, which is the location of the international airport, has witnessed a meager 8% rise in property prices over the last 1 year. The home prices here are currently quoting at 4,900 rupees per square foot compared to 4,525 rupees per square foot in 2012. The fast developing suburb of Avinashi Road has seen a price increase of 22% in just 1 year. Home prices here are currently quoting at 5,075 rupees per square foot, the most expensive locality in Coimbatore. With that, it's back to you, Faye.
Alright, Avan, thank you for that information. But Jayashree, if you look at Coimbatore right now on the website, given the fact that it comes second to Chennai, do you still think it makes sense for a lot of investors to consider? Is there a lot of action there?
In the Coimbatore market, we see a lot of action. There are primarily three reasons why Coimbatore is important. One is that it is one of the largest auto component hubs in the country today. The second thing is that there is a strong IT and ITES market which drives demand, and there is a very big NRI demand. All three put together, there are 4 or 5 segments which are driving the Coimbatore market. We see a lot of interest in Vadavalli, Singanallur, Pilamedu, Avinashi Road, and Papa Naik Pad. I'm not sure whether I'm saying it correctly, but that is the area where I see a lot of interest in from these sector.
So that's Coimbatore. I'm going to put up that list that Jayashree just mentioned on your screen right now. The last name that she was talking about is Papan Naikanpudur. That's also on your screen. Now, Ravi, these are all priced between 3.5 to 5,000 rupees a square foot. If I were to ask you to pick one as the strongest investment destination, which one would that be?
I would probably go for Sarvanampatti. And that's because of the IT hub. Companies like Cognizant, Robert Bosch have their own campuses. If we see continued IT demand, which has, I must admit that IT demand has been not as robust as Chennai or Bangalore, but obviously those are tier 1 cities compared to this. But we've seen some good action in this location called Sarvanampatti, which is about 10 kilometers from the airport. And there also, I think the prevailing prices are between 3.5 to 5,000 rupees a square feet. We see some.
In all fairness, I can still buy in Bangalore at 4,500 rupees a square foot, which is the IT capital, which is a city where the demand driven from IT will never die. Why would I choose Coimbatore over Bangalore?
So I think you're right. So the target audience is not only IT. The target audience is also the NRI community, which wants to come back home and buy a house. Should they retire? Should they come back home at Coimbatore? And these are the South Indian traditional folks. Then there is also the traditional industrial houses. Let's not forget that Coimbatore is a very entrepreneurial city. So there is money to be made from the business houses, and they want to spend on luxury homes as well.
If you're looking to buy a home in Coimbatore, our experts have put their heads together and made this list for you. Take a look. Well, if Coimbatore is your location of choice, here are some investment destinations you could consider. Orchids Phase 2 by Rakindo Developers, Sri Sai Kripa by Ravi Murgai Construction, Royal Skyline by Royal Shelter, Sri Shiva's Castle by Aravinda Builders, Shobha Westill, Shobha Developers, and Elysium Flushing by Elysium Properties. Quick questions, Anil Reddy. NRI from Hyderabad wants to buy an apartment or a plot of land in Hyderabad with a budget of 2 crore rupees, which is very generous if you're considering Hyderabad. Now, he's narrowed down his locations to Jubilee Hills, Madhapur or Gachibowli. Please advise. Jayashree, for 2 crore rupees, if he goes into Madhapur or Gachibowli right now, he could buy something of a palace, couldn't he?
Yes, huge apartments he can buy, 2,500 to 4,000 square feet. In Gachibowli, he'll get roughly about 2,800 to 4,000. And in Jubilee Hills also, he will get a 1,500 to 2,800. He's got a huge budget for an area like this.
Huge apartment in good location. So of the three that he's talking about, Gachibowli, Madhapur, Jubilee Hills, of course, Jubilee Hills, he'll be able to buy a nice bungalow perhaps. What would you recommend he does?
I think he shortlisted the right location. So if he wants to live in it on his own, nothing like Jubilee Hills, it's right in the heart of the city. But from an investment perspective, we will see Gachibowli, Madhapur give 10 to 15%, kind of appreciation per annum over the next 3 to 5 years. I think the elections may not have that much of a bearing. Telangana seems to be a proposal now which may get approved. So I think it's time to put in money at Hyderabad. That was always a dark horse. Next 2 to 3 years, we'll see some improvement.
All right, I have room for just one more question. I'm going to take one from Sai, who's also an NRI, who's written in, wants to buy an apartment in Vadodara in Gujarat, budget of 40 lakh rupees. Narrowed down his choices to Shangri-La from Alchemy Real Estate. He wants to know if that's a good option. Given the budget that he has, Jayashree, is there a better option or a better location for him in Vadodara?
There are 2-3 areas where he can look for ready-to-move-in options, which is what he wanted, I think. You can look at Gothri Road and Samasavli Road. Both of them, he would be able to get about a 3-bedroom apartment. I think he should be able to get about 1,300 to 1,600 at the Gothri Road, and Samasavli Road about 1,600 to 1,700 square foot apartments. And the interesting thing is that there's a good rental demand here. So as a result, he should be able to get about 12 to 13,000 as a rental return in Gothri Road, and Samasavli he should be able to get 17,000 to 18,000 per month as a rental return.
All right, and if you're an NRI obviously and you're looking to buy a home to move into eventually, makes sense to have rental yield in the meantime, so it subsidizes some of its own costs. Jayashree and Ravi, thank you so much for spending time with us this week and answering all of our questions. Now, if you have questions for them, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. It's time for our Meet the Developer segment. Joining us now, Sarang Vadwan, Vice Chairman and Managing Director at HTIL. Sarang, thank you so much for joining us. Now, we've seen so many reports and we've talked to various analysts who've told us the Mumbai real estate market has had a very tough year over 2013. Prices are actually cracking at this point and it's difficult to make any sales. Now, given where you're looking at it on the ground, what would you tell us about the Mumbai real estate market?
I think one of the pressures which is there in the system is the fact that the sales have slowed down considerably as far as residential high-end projects are concerned. I think people are holding back, waiting to see what policy changes come in as far as Reserve Bank is concerned, as far as what the elections are going to bring up. Job security is an issue right now. I think the overall economic slowdown has played a substantial role in the slowdown for the real estate industry, and overall the Mumbai market has also seen reduced sales. But I think as we go along over the next few months, we will see that the affordable housing segment has started improving already, and over the next few months is going to improve substantially.
So within your upcoming projects in Mumbai right now, have you reworked the prices of any of these projects? Are you offering discounts to build up sales?
I think to reduce prices is not possible for the developer community on the whole. For projects which were launched earlier, it is it's close to impossible for us to reduce prices. Also, I think that because of the fact that those projects were already launched, if we reduce prices now, they're going to have a detrimental effect on our sales.
Sarang, Ishtial has properties in the Thane-Virar belt and also in the west of the city, in Andheri and in Goregaon. Where are you seeing more action in terms of demand and where have prices fallen harder?
I think Mumbai city on the whole has seen a big slump in real estate, but our projects, our affordable housing projects in Vasai-Virar, in Palghar, they have seen quite a good substantial traction. I think those areas are being developed. The connectivity to Mumbai is being actually developed, infrastructure is being developed, and as such I think these